based upon your belief that he was, that someone in the vehicle was associated with a motorcycle club. You gave it heightened scrutiny, is that what you're saying?
No, I gave it heightened scrutiny because there's a possibility of a gun in the car.
Nelson Cintron, or in the matter of the petition of Nelson Cintron, A23-875-307-P. If I can have the parties state their appearances for the record.
Alan Buttell, bar number 3031, Your Honor, with Nelson and Ethan Cintron appearing via blue jeans.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ryan Daniels on behalf of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
Okay, great. So this is on for the evidentiary hearing this morning. Would either side like to invoke the exclusionary rule?
Yes, I would invoke the exclusionary rule, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So do you know who your first witness is going to be?
Yes, Mr. Johnston, Officer Johnston.
Okay, so Officer Johnson, if you'll come up and if the other witnesses would please step outside, then we'll call you when we are ready.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please proceed. Please state your first and last name and spell them for the record.
Shiloh Johnston, SHILOH,
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mr. Johnston, will you please introduce yourself? I know you just gave your name, but
Yes, my name is Shiloh Johnston, and I'm an officer of Las Vegas Metro.
do you live in Las Vegas?
I do.
And when did you come to work for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department?
I was hired on 05 of 17 and finished the academy in November of the same year.
And why did you want to be a police officer?
To serve the public, the community.
How many years have you worked at LVMPD?
Approximately 6.
And what is your current rank?
Police officer
What is your current assignment?
to the Southeast Area Command Flex Team.
This case involves an incident on July 27, 2023. Were you working that day?
Yes,
Where were you assigned?
to the Southeast Area Command Flex Team.
Okay. And what was your assignment or duties that you had that day as a patrol officer?
That day was proactive patrol or assist wherever anybody else might need us.
Okay. Was there any patrol officer who had the same assignment as you?
Yes,
And who would that be? Who were some of the officers?
Officer Tlatenchi.
Okay. So he was assigned to work with you?
Yes,
Okay. Did you come into contact with Ethan and Nelson Cintron on that date?
yes.
Have you had any prior encounters with them?
No.
And why did you stop the vehicle? Or what, I guess the question should be before that, how did you come into contact with them?
They had suspended plates.
Okay. And now I'd like to go into some of your body cam footage, but I can see that for some reason this is blinking at me to, I don't know why, to share the screen. Let me see if I can. Sorry, Your Honor, I had it set up and then I guess my computer shut down and there we go. I'm going to play what has been marked as an exhibit to LVMPD's opposition to Petitioners' motion for seized property. I'll just play a few seconds at the beginning of this.
You're okay, man. I told you. Yeah. I know you're trying to control the dog. Oh, yeah, no. No worries, no. Good.
All right, I'm stopping the video at 37 seconds. Do you know what this is?
Yes,
What is it?
it is my body camera from the traffic stop.
And what is the date on the upper right-hand corner of this video?
July 28th, 2023.
Do you know why the audio doesn't come on immediately?
So your body camera is on, you double tap the button to begin recording, it captures the first 30 seconds of that time frame, and it just doesn't have audio during that time frame.
Okay. How did you record the body cam footage?
Through my department issued body worn camera, which is on my shoulder today.
Have you received any training on the body cam?
Yes, in the academy.
Okay. What did you do when you were done recording the body cam?
When the stop was over, I held the button down to deactivate the camera, and when the stop was over, we went in at the end of the night, and I docked my camera in the Axon docking, where it's then downloaded and sent into our LVMPD.com.
Okay. And what did you, have you reviewed the entire body cam footage?
Yes,
Is the video true and accurate to the best of your recollection?
yes,
Was this all done within the normal scope and practice of your duties as a patrol officer?
yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit this body cam footage as Exhibit A.
Okay, any objection?
I object.
Based on?
May I provide the hour to witness briefly?
Sure.
Officer,
Wait, first, you need to tell me what your objection is.
my objection is that we have a motion to admit the entire video, which has not been viewed. It's not been explained whether it fairly and
So-
accurately depicts.
Yeah, he did. He just asked him.
Well, the first 37 seconds, is that all we're admitting?
Okay, so if you had listened to the Officer Johnston's testimony, what was asked of him was, did you review this entire video? Yes. Does it fairly and accurately depict? So I don't know what your objection is. If you could please state exactly what your evidentiary objection is.
My objection is if they're offering it for the truth and the assertion that it fairly and accurately depicts a consent, then I object because it doesn't. And
That's not an
he said he
evidentiary
testified,
objection.
well, he testified that he was working on the 27th. This video is timestamped the 28th. I mean, let's start with that. And I object to the admission of the video for the truth of their assertion that it contains evidence of a consent by
So
the
they haven't,
Cintron.
okay, hang on.
Okay?
This is just evidence objections. They are not, I don't know yet what the purpose is for what they are admitting it. What they have done at this point is they've established that it is kept in the regular course of business by, uploading it to the cloud, all that kind of stuff. He's gone through the steps, he's gone through the training. So I don't find that you have given me a evidentiary objection sufficient to sustain it. So I'm going to overrule your objection
Well,
at this time.
I just want to make it clear on the record. I object because we have not seen the video. There's no evidence that it fairly and accurately depicts anything other than the first 37 seconds that we watched.
So I'm sorry, are you saying that you have not had this video provided to you?
I have had it provided to
Okay,
me.
so then how are you saying that you've never seen it?
I have seen it. The court hasn't seen it as far as a piece of evidence.
Okay,
If you were admitting a photograph for fairly and accurately depicting a scene, and you tore off a little tiny corner and says, does this accurately depict the scene? Yeah, sure. Well, that's what we're talking
Mr.
about.
Buttell, I'm overruling your objection. I'm going
No,
to
thank you.
admit it into evidence. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm now skip to approximately 8 minutes and 45 seconds into this video.
Well, I would like to have the video played where in the first couple of minutes, we have one of the officers saying, hey, Tony, are you up?
So you will have an opportunity to cross-examine and you can play the video however you would like to do at that point in time.
All right. So we're not gonna watch the video that we can hear.
I'm not dictating how they would like to present their evidence.
All right. I'm sorry, Counsel, what minute are we going to?
Well, my plan was to go to 8 minutes and 45 seconds, but
Okay.
I'm. I'm starting. Sorry, 8 minutes and, no, 8 minutes, 40 seconds. That was a pretty good guess.
Can you tell me where on the video, just so I'm clear, where it says the timestamp at 8:40?
It's, I'm going off the minutes that it's been playing in the video.
So down here in this left.
On the left, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
So 8 minutes and 40 seconds into the video.
Hey, you guys don't mind, Mr. Albert, you guys don't mind if I can get the question? Yeah, of course, there you go. Sure, yeah. S. Johnston, 16578. Yeah, so right now there is, so a little bit more is the application that are on the way to come back to you. If they want to discuss further reviews on something that I'm not.
Okay, Mr. Johnston, what was happening in that video?
They were asking for our names and badge numbers, which we were providing to them.
Okay. Who asked you?
Ethan.
Okay. I'm going to skip to approximately 9 minutes and 30 seconds into the video.
Wait here a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, everybody here right now is the same. I mean, they're trying to stop everything being done, everything else. Big dog car. We'll see. The pit bull too, so just don't be surprised. These are the ones that I taught you. So there are the answers. All right.
All right, I stopped the video at 10:07 into the video. Mr. Johnson, do you know what's going on here?
Yes.
Or what is going on?
So the detectives that arrived were asking to go back to the truck for Mr. Nelson's phone, which he walked them back and opened the car door for them to retrieve it.
And can you tell who spoke to Mr. Cintron, no, Mr. Nelson Cintron?
Detective Propp.
Did you hear what Detective Propp asked Mr. Cintron?
I object to the hearsay nature of the question and the answer.
So the question was, did you hear what detective asked Mr. Propp?
Correct. What Mr. Propp asked Mr. Nelson.
Okay, so that specific question does not call for hearsay. There may be a follow-up question that may.
Not verbatim.
Okay. What was your understanding of what he said?
Hearsay?
Okay, so the objection is hearsay. What's your response?
It's recorded on the body cam footage.
Well, I don't think we can hear it. That's my problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have an exception to the hearsay rule?
It's a statement against interest.
Okay, I'll allow it. If it's not a statement against interest, then at that point I'll entertain it to strike.
Your Honor, may I, what is the statement against interest?
Well, we'll find out if it is.
Did you hear what Mr. Propp, or Detective Propp asked What did Detective Propp ask Mr. Cintron? Do you know?
He had asked if he had his phone with him.
Okay. All right.
And just if I may make a record, this is a part of my objection to the video. They're asserting that we can hear these things on the video. We can't. This video does nothing to offer any probative evidence as to the issue of consent or voluntariness of the
I
phone
would
being
respectfully disagree in that there are certain things that I have to look at as far as whether or not they're in custody or not. So those types of things would tend to, are factual issues that I would need to look at to see if it was under consensual circumstances that they are alleging. So if you're asking that the video not be played, I'm going to overrule your objection on that.
Very good, thank you.
Can you describe the tone of Detective Propp's voice in speaking to Mr. Cintron?
I object, foundation.
Foundation of what?
How's he gonna describe the tone of Officer Propp's voice if he doesn't lay a foundation for knowing the difference between one tone or the other, or when he's angry, or when he's happy, or when he's polite?
Right, I'll allow you to lay foundation.
Have you worked with Detective Propp before?
I have.
Have you heard him speak in different social settings or other different settings?
I have.
If you, can you tell the difference have you heard him when he's angry?
I've heard him when he's frustrated.
Have you heard him when he's normal working with you?
Yes.
So how is the tone of his voice compared to those times?
His tone when speaking was polite and respectful and professional.
I'm going to skip to approximately 10 minutes and 20 seconds into the video.
But that only goes so far with moving around. We're coming at it for a minute, all right? We get the all. What? That's it, dude. That's all it is. I know you have the right to record things, to do things, but that only goes so far with moving around. Okay?
Okay, Officer Johnston, do you know what was happening here
I do.
and what was happening?
Ethan was requesting to move to get a better angle to record the interactions going on with the detectives and Mr. Nelson. However, on the stop, we don't allow people to just move around wherever they would like. So I acknowledged his ability to record and allowed him to continue to record, but I said we're going to stay where I placed you for the stop, and that's for control of the traffic stop.
All right, I'm going to skip to the very end of the video, or close to it.
We'll just go.
That was right around 27.
Sorry, yes. That was approximately 27 minutes and 32 seconds.
No, I think you need, I don't think you need a $5 ticket, right? Fair enough, right? Well, just know that you can get stopped for it, you can get a ticket for it, what about Henderson? You are in Henderson as well. So just know, yeah, right around that, but. Be registered, that kind of stuff. Well, like,
Okay, that was to the end of your video. What was going on in that segment that we just watched?
But that was the end of the stop.
And what happened, what did you interact with Mr. Cintron about?
I perceived that he had been cooperative throughout the duration of the stop, and with that discretion, I decided to give him a verbal warning instead of issuing him a high fine ticket for the suspended plates. Sometimes people don't always immediately know their plates are suspended until they're being stopped, and as it appeared when I was talking to him that was the case, I figured it would be fair to give him a warning on it.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have for this witness.
Cross.
What is the Southeast Area Command Flex Team?
It is a area command level unit that is both proactive and also does calls for service when they respond to extremely violent calls. But we also help out wherever the department might need us to go. Protests or other social events. If we did trunk or treat, we did traffic control for that. It's kind of just wherever they need to send extra people.
How was it that you were sent to Henderson that day?
I was out doing, we were doing proactive patrol, and we did stops out there too.
What's proactive patrol mean?
We drive around, look for things in the community that may be off, traffic checks, license plates, look for expired plates, registration offenses, traffic, other offenses.
So as a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officer, you decided yourself to go to Henderson and engage in proactive patrol, or were you assigned?
No, I was requested.
By whom?
Detective Propp.
By Detective Propp?
Yes.
Detective Propp also goes by Tony, doesn't
Yes.
he? After the stop was initiated, did you call Tony and ask him if he was coming to join you?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
And because he had separate investigation to do.
Well, he had asked you to do the stop in the first place, hadn't he?
I did a stop for suspended plates.
Right. And you took Mr. Cintron, that's Nathan, the driver, yes? Out of the car?
I took the driver out of the car. I did
And the
request that.
passenger?
And the passenger, yes.
And you told them they were detained?
Yes.
Why were you detaining them?
For suspended plates.
Why were you detaining them and then calling Officer Propp for suspended plates?
Like I said, he had a separate investigation that I'm not privy to all the facts of, therefore I cannot answer that portion.
But this was an arranged stop, and you were to call Officer Propp once it was initiated, correct?
Whenever we come across somebody that has an additional investigation through traffic stops or whatever it is, we make the necessary notifications to see if they wish to respond and what their course of action is going to be.
So you're telling me that you just happened to see Mr. Cintron's vehicle, while you were doing your proactive patrol, you just happened to see, and you ran his plate and determined it was suspended, is that correct?
That we run plates to do
When
registration
did you run the
checks
plate?
just prior to the stop.
And it came up suspended?
Yes,
And you had no prior request from Anthony Propp or Tony Propp to initiate this stop, is that what you're telling me?
no, I was requested to be in the area
What does that mean?
to do proactive patrol in the area.
To
Be there
stop,
in the area
and that meant to stop Nelson Cintron and detain him, yes?
for suspended plates.
Okay. And how long after you initiated the stop of Mr. Cintron and his son was it that you called Tony Propp and asked him if he was out?
I do not recall that exact time.
Best guess?
I don't
Couple
want
minutes.
to. I don't want to give a best guess if I'm not 100% certain. I can tell you that I did call him.
Could we run the video? Is it possible to run the video? I don't have the ability to do it. Can we play the video at timestamp 2 minutes, 35 seconds?
What do you need? I mean, if you're gonna, you need to have an ability to play it.
Okay, I don't. I don't have it. I don't have it hooked up. And if we can't play it, then that's fine. So in the ordinary course of an investigation, or the ordinary course of a traffic stop or a suspended plate, is it common to extricate both the driver and passenger from the vehicle?
It can be.
I know it can be, but is it normal practice?
Yes.
For a routine traffic stop on a vehicle registration violation
No traffic stop routine, sir.
to pull both,
So hang on.
you're pulling
Okay,
both
so
parties?
Stop. So I just need to make sure that no one's talking over one another. So if you ask a question, wait and then answer the question. If he's answering the question, please don't ask another question in between, because my court reporter is trying to make sure that they have an accurate transcript. And if you're both talking at the same time, that cannot be done. Thank you.
Is it common practice to extricate both the passenger and the driver from a motor vehicle?
Objection,
Versus-
What's the objection?
speculation.
I'll overrule the objection.
Is it common practice in a traffic stop for a registration violation to extricate both the driver and the passenger, the occupants of the car?
It is situation dependent.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is the facts and circumstances of the traffic stop determine whether or not I may or may not ask somebody to step out of the vehicle.
I see. What were the facts and circumstances of this traffic stop that required you to remove the driver and the passenger to detain them?
While running the registration on the vehicle, our systems will also check for such things as weapon permits and things along those lines. So there was a CCW permit that did pop up. And then on the back window of the truck was a sticker that I noticed that stated, "Support your local dirty ones." Knowing that to be an MC club, I decided to ask them to step out of the vehicle to eliminate any kind of access to weapons.
So, based upon your belief that he was, that someone in the vehicle was associated with a motorcycle club, you gave it heightened scrutiny? Is that what you're saying?
No, I gave it heightened scrutiny because there was a possibility of a gun in the car.
A gun possessed by a person with a concealed weapons permit?
Objection, argumentative.
What's your response?
I don't believe it's argumentative. I asked him if it was based.
I don't think that's really argumentative.
He presupposes the answer. He's saying, he's making an argument that of prejudice that the officer would protect, would pull him out of the vehicle just by the virtue of the fact that he's a member of a motorcycle club.
So are you saying that he's assuming facts not in evidence?
That too.
Okay, so if you will ask a question without assuming facts and evidence, Mr. Buttell?
I was asking, were you concerned over the fact that the vehicle's driver had a concealed weapons permit?
It is always something that I take into consideration.
And why is that?
Well, just because you've obtained a CCW permit, I've never had contact with the person with the CCW permit before. I can't assume that every single person is going to be, at that moment in time, cooperative. And so I would take extra safety precautions on stops where people have access to, immediate access to firearms, and make sure the scene is safe.
And are you taught in the training academy or other training to remove people from vehicles if they have a CCW permit?
It's not that, the way you're phrasing it is not how that is portrayed. I can ask somebody to step out if there are weapons and other things, and I feel like I would like to make the scene safer, then I can do so and ask them to step out of the vehicle.
So aside from the fact that there might have been some associated association with a motorcycle club and that he had a CCW permit, what were the circumstances that caused you concern to have him come out of the vehicle?
If there's any potential chance of an access to a weapon, I will usually ask people to step out of the car. It's safer for me to be able to, one, observe all hand motions, all body language, be able to look at everybody's waistlines, pockets, look for furtive movements. Maybe one day they're cooperative on a stop. Maybe the next day somebody did something and they decide that they would like to have a gunfight. I don't make those determinations, but I'm going to take every step to ensure that the public and myself are safe in those certain situations.
Well, isn't it true that every possible traffic stop could involve somebody that might have a weapon?
They could. But in this particular instance, there was actual intelligence that there could be a firearm in the car via a CCW permit.
And that intelligence was what?
The hit saying that there is a
Mr.
CCW.
Buttell,
Yes, ma'am.
how is this relevant?
Well, I'm trying to determine why he pulled both Mr. Cintron and his son out of the vehicle and detained them for 30 minutes. And
The
so,
relevance, what is the relevance?
well, he's telling me he did it because he was a member of a motorcycle club.
My question, how is this relevant to consent?
It's relevant to their being detained, and consent is in part circumstances will be, as you pointed out, were they detained, were they being held, was consent imposed upon them?
And I think you have made the point of the fact that they were taken out of the car. He has given you multiple explanations regarding the gun. I'd like you to move it along, please.
Did Mr. Cintron have a gun?
No.
Did he ask you why he was being detained?
Yes.
Did he go on to explain that he was a law-abiding citizen, he had never been stopped or subjected to this kind of conduct in all of his life? Did he explain that to you?
He explained that to me along with stating he's a 1%er and some other things along those lines.
I have no further questions.
Very correct. Okay, thank you. Officer, you're free to go back to business.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I call your next witness? Go ahead.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your first and last name and spell them for the record.
First name Luis, Luis, last name Tlatenchi, Tlatenchi.
Thank you.
You can proceed.
Thank you. Morning, Officer Tlatenchi. Do you live in Las Vegas?
I do.
And when did you come to work for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department?
I began in September of 2019.
Why did you want to be a police officer?
Growing up in a Spanish household, I saw my parents' family being afraid of calling the police just because of the language barrier. So that was kind of one of the biggest acts why we joined, to kind of fix that gap.
How many years have you worked at LVMPD?
4 now.
What is your current rank?
Police officer.
And what is your current assignment?
I work at Southeast Area Command Flex Unit.
Thank you. This case involves an incident on or around July 27, 2023. Were you working that day?
Yes.
And where were you assigned?
Southeast Area Command Flex Unit.
What was your assignment that day as a patrol officer?
Investigative and patrol.
Was there any other patrol officer who had a same assignment as you?
Yes.
And who would that be?
It's Officer S. Johnston.
Did you come into contact with Ethan and Nelson Cintron on that date?
I did.
And how did you come in contact with them?
Traffic stop.
What was the traffic stop for?
Suspended license plates.
Had you had any prior encounters with them?
No.
I'm going to play what has been marked as an exhibit to LVMPD's opposition to petitioner's motion for return of seized property. This is all right, I'll stop this video here. We stopped it at 58 seconds. What is this that we just watched?
That is my body cam from the day of the traffic stop.
And how do you record this body cam footage?
With my body cam that's issued to me.
And what did you do when you were done recording?
I stopped recording in my body camera.
How did you do that?
Just press and hold the button.
Okay. Did you receive any training on how to use the body cam footage?
I did.
Where did you receive that training?
LVMPD Academy.
And what did that training entail?
Just how to properly use it when it's at the end of the shift and start the shift.
Okay. So what did you do at the end of the shift?
Took my body cam back to the charging dock where it's supposed to go to.
Okay. And what happens there, do you know?
I believe the charges then uploads to LVMPD.
Okay. Have you seen the entire body camera footage?
I have.
And is the video that you've seen true and accurate representation of the events that day to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
Was this all done within the normal scope and practice of your job duties as a patrol officer?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit this body cam footage as Exhibit D.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, I object. As in the previous video, other than the 58 seconds that we viewed, there's no foundation for the assertion that the evidence submitted is going to fairly and accurately depict the encounter between the Cintrons and Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
Well, Officer Tlatenchi has testified as to the fair and accurate representation, and so I'm going to overlook the objection and allow that it be admitted at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to move the video footage to approximately 11 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm concerned that the audio is not coming through, and I'm not sure
Let
why.
me, it might be on my end. Okay,
I'm gonna start it at 11 minutes here. Well, started at 11:19. I'll stop the video at 12:24. Officer Tlatenchi, sorry. Do you know what's going on in that video?
Yes.
And what is it? Can you describe what's happening?
Yes, detectives are speaking with Mr. Nelson and Ethan reference a case they're investigating of them possibly being a victim of a shooting.
Okay. What did you understand the conversation between Mr. Cintron, Nelson Cintron, and his son Ethan Cintron there to be in that first, in those few seconds that we saw?
My understanding is that he was explaining to his son that why the detectives were there to investigate that they were possibly victims of a crime.
Could you see that Mr. Ethan Cintron had a phone in his hands?
Yes.
I'm going to skip to the end of this video to approximately 28 minutes.
All right, don't blame me.
Okay, that plays at the end of your body cam footage recording. Can you describe what was happening in that bit that we just viewed?
Yes, it was the end of the traffic stop. I believe Mr. Nelson Cintron was talking to detectives, and after that, they were going to stop.
And what was Ethan doing during that time?
He was just standing there waiting for his father to finish talking.
Okay.
He was waiting.
Those are all the questions I have for this witness.
Okay, Russ?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're free to go about your business. All right, you can file our next witness.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
It's Anthony Propp. It's Anthony Propp.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Last name is spelled Propp.
Hello, Detective Propp. Are you presently employed by LVMPD?
I am.
And how long have you been employed by LVMPD?
9 years.
What is your position?
I'm a detective with the criminal intelligence section.
And what types of matters do you investigate as a detective?
Outlaw motorcycle clubs.
Do you have a partner?
I do.
Who's your partner?
Detective Ben McDonough.
Say that, can you spell
Say that
that
again.
Yeah, it's sorry, it's BENMACDONELL.
This case involves an incident occurring on or around July 27, 2023. Were you working that day?
I was.
And what were you doing?
I was following up on an attempted murder investigation.
Okay. And why, was there anyone that you were interested in as a suspect in this attempted murder investigation?
Yes.
And who was that?
It was Nelson and Ethan Cintron.
I know we have a declaration of warrant in this case. I don't want you to speak too much into the particulars of that. But what information was provided to you about the shooting that you can provide to us today?
We conducted multiple interviews from witnesses of the incident, and we determined that there was both Nelson and Ethan contacted each other just prior, during, and after the shooting. And then we followed up with that with getting told call records to confirm that contact was made. And once we confirmed that's what we had at that point.
You mentioned that they had contacted one another. How did they contact one another?
It was through the phones, through texts and calls.
Okay, so cell phones.
Yes.
So, what interest did you have in the Cintrons at this point?
Through our investigation, we learned that those two were the primary suspects involved in the shooting.
Okay. Going back to the incident on July 27th, 2023 or thereabouts, what was your plan that day?
Since we learned that day that what was told by witnesses was in fact true based on the toll data, we decided that we needed to obtain those phones as soon as possible. So we set up to do so.
Okay. And without going into too much detail, how did you set up to do that?
We conducted surveillance to locate both the Cintrons together, and then to conduct a stop.
Okay. How did you learn that do you know if the Cintrons were stopped?
They were.
And how did you learn that?
Once they both got into the vehicle together, we called for 2 units or a unit with two people to conduct a stop.
Okay. And do you know who that unit was?
I do.
And who is it?
It was Officer Johnston, and I'm not familiar with the other officer's name. I'm sorry.
Okay. Approximately how long did it take you to arrive from wherever you were at to?
I would say approximately 10 minutes or so.
Okay. And how did you get there?
We drove to a parking lot to park our vehicles, so we don't have emergency lights, and we didn't want to be sitting on the side of the road. So we pulled into a parking lot and then walked to the stop location.
Okay. And when you arrived, who was present at the stop?
It was the two officers and both Ethan and Nelson were there. And then my partner and my sergeant Nelson.
Okay. I'm going to play for you a portion of what's been marked as Exhibit A.
Is this marked or is this an admitted exhibit?
Admitted, sorry, admitted Exhibit A. I'm going to push this forward to approximately 9 minutes. And I can get it there, 40, yeah. We'll go 9 minutes, 28
I'll wait here
seconds.
real quick, and then we'll go here. But yeah, everybody here right now is okay. I mean, the rest stops, everything being done, everything else. Big dogs are the same. The pit bull too, so just don't be surprised. These are the ones we're talking.
All right, I stopped the video at 10 minutes and 2 seconds. What does this scene depict?
This depicts once myself, my partner, and my sergeant arrived on scene and spoke with Mr. Cintron.
Okay. Do you recall what did you say to Mr. Cintron when you arrived? What was the first thing you said to him?
The first thing I said to him was, I asked if he had his phone with him by chance.
And what was his response to that?
He says yes.
And did he say anything else?
I believe he said something to the fact that yes, it's in his truck.
Okay. What was your purpose in asking him that question?
Based on the investigation and the things that we learned about the fact that there would be evidence on the phone, it was to obtain the phone from Mr. Cintron.
Okay. How did you interact with Nelson when you first arrived?
I just asked him specifically, if he had his phone with him. Once we started walking over to the truck, I explained who I was, what we were there for, and then asked if he said his phone was in his cup holder, and then we asked if we could retrieve it. He said yes.
And who opened how did you retrieve the phone? How was the phone retrieved, I should say?
Mr. Cintron opened the door to the truck and pointed to where the phone was, and then he said he had a big dog in the back seat to be careful, and then Detective McDonnell obtained the phone from the cup holder.
Okay. What did Nelson Cintron say when the officer took the phone from the truck?
I don't recall him saying anything once we grabbed it.
Okay. What did you do after you obtained Nelson Cintron's phone from the truck?
I began to speak with him, again explain what we were there for, that we were investigating the shooting, and I just wanted to talk to him about it, his involvement. And we're trying to understand the full scope of what the investigation was. And then that was the extent of that, and recorded it too.
Okay. I'm going to play for you a portion of Exhibit B, admitted Exhibit B. I'm going to move this video to 11 minutes and 50 seconds. Approximately. Well, we'll go 11 minutes and 51 seconds. I'll stop that at 12 minutes and 35 seconds. Can you describe what's going on in this segment of the video?
Yes, at the first portion of that, Ethan was asking, what was going on, and Nelson and said, hey, they wanted to talk to you about the shooting investigation. If you could be a victim, they need your phone. At which point he gave the phone to Detective Mackin. I also explained to him again what we were there for, what we were trying to discuss about the shooting investigation, that we only heard one side of it. We want to hear the full story of what happened from both of them.
What, if anything, did Ethan say after his cell phone was taken?
I don't recall saying anything.
Once you had the cell phones, how were you going to search them?
We were going to obtain a search warrant and then give them to what we call the Digital Forensic Lab, or DFL. It's a place that they can download phones and do it forensically. Okay.
Why did you ultimately stop talking to Nelson Cintron?
As we were speaking, he invoked his right for a lawyer, and at that point, that's when we stopped talking.
Okay. What did he say about his cell phone?
Sergeant Donaldson asked him for his passcode, and Mr. Cintron said, "You already have my phone. I'm not going to give you the password," which is obviously why we obtained the search warrant to get into it. So that was what I said.
Okay. And why did you stop interacting with Ethan Cintron?
So I personally didn't interact with him. My partner did, but it was from my understanding that he also asked for a lawyer.
What led you to believe you could lawfully seize Nelson's cell phone?
Object culturally with recording.
Ask the question again?
What led you to believe you could lawfully seize Nelson's cell phone?
I'll allow.
Once again, based on what we talked about with the fact that we had witness statements talking about the conversations that were had between the two of them, verified through the call data records showing that conversation. The fact that these learning that there would be evidence on the phones, knowing it be easily deleted, we learned at that point that we needed to get the evidence from that, showing potential other defendants that we may learn about through the shooting, the full extent of the shooting, and what the circumstances were surrounding the shooting.
Have you had any experience seizing cell phones?
I have.
In your experience, or in your education, training, and experience, what are the risks in seizing cell phones?
I would say the biggest risk is the fact that they're easily deleted, either physically, remotely, and obviously if you separate, multiple defendants, any one of them could delete the other's data some way or another. So that's kind of the biggest thing.
Okay. And those are you concerned about that when you are initiating an investigation that would have cell phone as evidence?
Yes, definitely.
After you had seized Nelson and Ethan's cell phones during the traffic stop, what did you do next with regard to the cell phones?
The first thing we did was we put the phones in airplane mode, and then we put them in a Faraday bag. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's a bag that limits communications either to or from the phone. Therefore, it could be remotely wiped, and then we immediately applied for a search warrant.
Okay. And did you articulate the facts that you explained here today, some of the facts you explained here today?
Judge Brownwich.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I'm asking if he has articulated the facts, or at least the facts that he's said today in his search warrant declaration.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
Do you know who signed that? What happened to that warrant?
It was,
Okay, and who signed it?
I believe it was Judge Albertson.
Okay. And in that search warrant, was everything true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And then what did you do after you obtained the search warrant?
I took the phones to the digital forensic lab, as I explained earlier what that was, and then provided them with what I was looking for. Like, hey, we need these phones searched.
Okay. Were the phones ever searched?
No.
Okay. And why were they not ever searched?
Through the period of, where they get their request and when my request comes up next, I was kind of in a line. Once my request came up, we learned that there was a letter sent from Mr. Buttell for the motion to return property.
Okay. And so what did you do at that once you realized there had been a motion or a letter sent from Mr. Buttell?
I told him to stop searching if they began.
Okay, and why did you tell him that?
Because at that point, though I listed in the warrant about the exemption, I also understood that I had consent at that time, and I took that as revocation of consent.
Okay. So after you were informed that Nelson and Ethan Cintron were what you understood to be revoking their consent for their cell phones, other than contacting the forensics lab and telling them to put a hold or stop anything, was there anything else you did?
I did. I applied for another search warrant.
And why did you do that?
Because initially in the first search warrant that I drafted, it was talking about consent, and I wanted it to be clear. It was mainly out of an abundance of caution that the consent was revoked. So I wanted to add that detail into a warrant.
Okay. So without going too deep into the declaration, what sort of things were added in this search warrant that were not in the previous warrant?
No objection, bro.
I'll allow it.
It was the fact that it was, that the revocation of consent was there, the motion to return the property filed by Mr. Buttell. I put that in.
So you explained what again? Okay.
I explained that the revocation of consent, we received the letter of the motion to return the property.
Okay. And that was outlined in your declaration?
Yes,
And what happened to that declaration form?
that was signed by a judge.
Okay. And this warrant, I should say, what did it allow you to do?
That was a warrant to seize the phone.
Okay. Have there been any criminal charges filed related to the shootings as of today, to the shootings?
No.
Okay. What is the status of the criminal investigation of the shooting as of today's date?
It's still pending, still in investigation.
He said no.
Those are all the questions I have.
All right, thank you, Carl.
Did you give Mr. Nelson or Ethan Cintron a receipt for the phones that you took?
I did not give him a receipt of such, I gave him my business card.
You gave them a business card.
Yes.
What did it say on the business card?
My name, my email, and my phone numbers.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
And did you watch the videos that council has referred to today?
Yes,
Have you watched them both?
yes.
In their entirety?
I would say not in their entirety.
Can you cite at any point in time during the video where there's audio where either Ethan or Nathan Cintron give consent to you taking their phones?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Did they consent to your taking the phones on the video? Can you hear that done?
I do not hear them say anything to the such.
And is it your testimony that Nathan Cintron consented to the taking of his cell phone by you?
So I did not obviously take the phone, but I do believe that yes, Ethan consented to that.
Nathan or Ethan?
Ethan,
Okay, and what makes you think that he consented?
based on, again, when Nelson had said, hey, you know, you can give him your phone, and that he held his phone out and he didn't grab it or try to reluctantly take it back or anything like that. He gave it up to the my partner.
Ethan was under detention at that point, would you agree?
Yes,
Do you think he would reach out and try to snatch his phone back from an officer?
I'm not sure.
Got it. And when you, I think you prefaced your testimony that these two, Ethan and Nathan, were suspects in an attempt murder case. Yeah?
Yes,
And that's why you arranged the stop.
yes.
No further questions.
And you, Rick?
After watching the videos that you've seen, did you ever see Ethan interact with police officers outside of the interaction that you had with them?
Yes.
What kind of interactions did you see him have with other officers?
From my memory, from what I recall,
Governor, can I get some foundation on this? What are we talking about? What date, when, who was present?
Same date, I assume.
Yeah, the same date in the video. I'm asking him about the video.
Fair enough, okay.
it appeared that they were discussing, just having a cordial conversation on the video. That's what it appeared to me.
Did you ever recall seeing Ethan asking if he could video record the officers?
I believe he did. I believe he just did do that. I don't know if that he asked. I think, if I remember right, he may have asked and they said, yeah, that's fine.
Did you ever see him ask the officers to move into their location where he filmed?
Yes, I do recall.
What is your impression of Ethan as far as his understanding of what he can and can't do at, given these actions at a traffic stop?
Calls for speculation, state of mind, objection.
So your question is, what is your impression of what Ethan understood?
Of what, yeah.
So
How would
I would sustain the objection that this call for speculation as to Ethan's state of mind.
I'm asking, I'm sorry.
Okay, I mean, if you want to have him describe the circumstances surrounding it, what his own observations were, without going into speculating about someone's mind, then certainly you can ask those questions.
Okay. At any time in that traffic stop, did Nelson or Ethan ever say, no, you can't have my cell phone? Or word to the effect? Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Okay, any requests?
In regards to your hearing and observing Ethan Cintron and his dialogue with the other officer, do you recall him talking about and asking why he was being detained?
I do believe he did ask that, yes.
And he was also asking, but may I film from this particular perspective? It appeared that he wanted to video the encounter, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Then I think you're free to go about your business. You may find your next witness.
These are all the witnesses I have, Your Honor.
May I call a witness, sir?
Sure.
Call Nelson Cintron.
Mr. Cintron, if you could raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this section shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
Nelson Cintron, first name Nelson, last name Cintron, Cintron.
Thank you.
All right, you may proceed.
Where do you presently live, sir?
Pennsylvania,
What town?
Montoursville, Pennsylvania.
Were you living in Las Vegas, Nevada on the 27th of July, 2023?
Yes, I was living at 379 Legacy Drive in Henderson, Nevada. Green
And
Valley
were you-
to be.
I'm sorry?
Green Valley to be exact.
In Henderson?
Yes.
And did your son Ethan live with you there at that address?
Yes, he did.
On the 27th of July of 2023, did you and Ethan have occasion to be stopped by a police officer?
Yes, we did.
And have you had the opportunity to review the videos of the body-worn camera of the traffic stop?
Yes, I have.
What was the stated reason for your being pulled over, if you recall?
I recall when I asked the officer, he indicated that my plate was coming up expired.
Was your plate
I was just
expired?
It was expired to the sense of a month. I had just moved to Henderson, Nevada, and was in process of transferring my vehicles, and that was the last one that was still registered in California. As I relocated.
Was it expired, or you just hadn't registered your truck in Nevada?
From my knowledge, I just didn't I didn't transfer it over to Nevada because the plate was still good. The registration sticker was still good, and I was told that until the plate expires, that I was okay to still, as long as I held insurance, I was still able to keep the plate on the vehicle registered in California until it was expired.
Did you explain that to the officer?
Officer actually didn't give me much time to explain anything, as he pulled me over and I asked him what was the traffic stop for. He informed me about the plate or the registration, and then proceeded to ask me to exit the vehicle. Well, he didn't ask me. He told me to exit the vehicle.
What did you do after he told you to get out of the vehicle?
Well, in disbelief and shock, I started questioning on what was going on. The traffic stop happened literally, a few yards from my house as soon as I pull out of my community. So I was a little confused on what was going on. At that point, I started asking questions. Why was I being pulled over? Why am I being pulled out of my vehicle? Why is my son being pulled out of a vehicle? And asked for identification. He's just a passenger. And if this is a traffic violation, what's going on? And like I said, at the moment, I was just so confused and didn't know what was going on. And he wasn't voluntarily giving me too much information. So that was basically it.
During the days preceding the stop, did you form a conclusion or come to the opinion that your house was being watched by the police?
Yes, that day and prior to that day, that weekend, I was having a yard sale both Saturday and Sunday, and that caused me to be outside in front of my home in my driveway both days. and I did witness multiple times unmarked vehicles with officers, what I believe to be officers, due to the fact that, they were wearing bulletproof vests, and you can clearly, see that through the windows, and you can clearly see lights, on top of the dashboards, and me coming in and out, entering my community. My home at the time was right at the entrance of the community off of Green Valley Parkway. I also did witness unmarked vehicle parked at the stop sign. I witnessed unmarked vehicle across the street at the McDonald's, along with my son witnessing, because he was employed at the McDonald's across the street. So yes, both days I did witness multiple times unmarked vehicles.
During the course of the traffic stop, can you tell us how long you were there, detained?
What felt like a long time, probably 30 minutes at least. I wasn't paying attention to the time.
During that 30 minutes, did you give consent to any officer at the scene for them to take and keep your cell phone?
Not at all. No, I did not. I was actually told I was my cell phone was being taken, and the only response I gave was, well, so you're leaving me no choice if you're telling me you're taking my cell phone. But at no point did I give consent for my cell phone to be taken or my vehicle to be searched.
You were in the course of relocating to Pennsylvania at or about the time this happened, is that correct?
Yes. My current company, Progress Residential, was not going to go and renew my lease. I was having a little bit of trouble with employment, and at the moment I was given an opportunity to be employed by Walmart as a full-time maintenance associate here on the East Coast. So therefore, I took the opportunity and packed the bags and headed east.
Did you need your cell phone to access all of your information, bank accounts, etc., especially in regards to this move?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Once the cell phone was confiscated, at the time I was a full-time Lyft driver, well invested into Lyft. I was currently making payments on a brand new vehicle. I had a business license through the state of Nevada, and because of the cell phones being confiscated, I no longer had access to passwords. I could no longer be verified through the Lyft application, through my bank accounts. Therefore, I wasn't able to work. So after 2 or 3 weeks of not being able to make an income, and that's the reason why I made the decision to leave. But yeah, it was very difficult. To this day, I still can't get into my Bank of America account. I don't know what the current status is. I haven't been able to get into my email that I've held for 15 years. Pretty much everything has been turned upside down since that cell phone was taken from me.
Did you at any point imply your consent for the officers to take your phone?
Objection form.
Wait, hang on.
It's a confusing or misleading, vague. I don't understand what it means by imply consent.
Do you feel that you implied permission for the officers to take your phone, Mr. Cintron?
No, I never gave permission to any officer or detective at that stop to take my cell phone.
Why did you not? Why at the end of the video, you've seen the video, why didn't you stand there and cry about the fact that they'd taken your phone?
Well, because as you see, I was outnumbered by officers. I was being treated like a criminal. We were very uncomfortable in the situation, pulled over on Green Valley Parkway, a very busy intersection. And just the officers' tone of voice with me and speculations and accusations and all these other things just made me feel uncomfortable. And at the moment, I just wanted an attorney present. But like I said, at no moment did I give any consent to anyone to take my cell phone. I was told that our cell phones were being taken, and my response was, so you're not giving me a choice. You're telling me you are taking my phone without a search warrant illegally from me? And he responded, yes, the detective.
Did you disavow any knowledge of the subject of their investigation, the attempted murder?
Well, he didn't inform me there was an attempted murder investigation. He just informed me that there was an investigation pending and that he was taking the cell phones because he believed that there was evidence on the cell phones.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Cintron.
Yes.
Where's the best place to, that works, okay. Hello, Mr. Cintron. Were you ever concerned that your son was the victim of an assault at any point?
Well, at the traffic stop, I was informed about the situation that happened with my son, and yes, I was concerned of what happened to my son the day he was assaulted.
And what was your concern?
His safety.
What was your understanding of what happened to your son at that assault?
From what I was told, he was assaulted by a vehicle.
Okay. Was that a dangerous situation?
Yes.
Okay. Were you, did you discuss that with the officers at the traffic stop?
I did briefly, just because I was told that they were looking into the matter and the assault of what happened to my son that day.
We played it in the video in the court today. I don't know if you saw the video, the segment. Were you, actually, I guess I'll ask that question. Were you able to see any of the video that we played for you today? We played in court today?
Yes.
Okay. So if you'll recall, we played a portion of the video where your son is standing with his cell phone, and just prior to when an officer or detective takes his cell phone, there's a conversation between you and him. Do you recall seeing that video?
A conversation between me and who?
Your son.
A conversation between me and my son after the fact when they took his cell phone?
Prior to.
Prior to taking it. No, I don't recall a conversation.
Okay.
So much happened at that traffic stop that I don't recall exactly what.
I don't know if they can see.
Mr. Cintron, you said that you could see the video that we played today, correct?
Yes, I saw the video.
All right.
So if I'm able to play a portion of the video again, could you see it?
Can I see it from this screen? Is what you're asking?
Yeah.
If I might, I think he may be referring to the fact that he's watched both videos
Oh,
before.
when we were playing the video earlier in this hearing today, did you see the video?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so
All right.
he won't be able to see it.
Okay. When so just prior to that, so your son asked something to the effect of, "What's this about?" Do you remember that point?
Oh, I remember my son. I remember my son asking questions just like I was, because again, he's never dealt with any situation like that, or has ever been involved with any situation with law enforcement. So I recall him asking questions because he was curious of what was going on.
Did you tell your son at that point? You told your son, right, that that they were doing an investigation where he was a victim. Is that not true?
Yes, I did tell my son that they were doing an investigation where he was a victim and that they were seizing our cell phones.
Yeah. And you cooperated with them because you believed that they were investigating a crime against your son, correct?
No, I did not cooperate with them seizing the cell phones.
Okay,
Let's make that clear.
What did you hope would be done in the investigation on the assault on your son?
What I would hope would be done in the investigation, I mean, respectfully, what does this have to do with the seizure of my cell phone?
I'm asking you, what
I'm just a little confused here of the question.
Okay, I understand. I'll rephrase it a different way.
I'm getting a little bad feedback also, so it was breaking up a little bit.
Okay, thank you. I'll move closer to the mic. Did you understand that the detectives were going to investigate the assault into your son's, the assault on your son?
Yes, I understood that because they clearly stated multiple times that they were investigating it was a pending investigation going on. So I did understand it at the time.
Did you think that the cell phones could be useful in that investigation?
No, I did not. It's just a matter of opinion because I did not give consent for my cell phone to be taken, and I did not give any consent for any cell phone to be taken at the scene. I was told they were taking our phones, and I let my son know that because Detective Propp told me they were seizing our phones.
Okay.
So I informed my son that they were taking his phone
Thank you. No
because
further
he did
questions.
not really know what was going on. And I believe the video states
Right.
that.
There are no questions before you, sir.
I have no
Thank you,
further
Your Honor.
questions of Nathan. I would ask to be allowed to call Ethan
All right.
Cintron.
So thank you.
I'll make it brief.
Ethan Cintron, is he there?
Yes.
All right. If I could have you raise your right hand to be sworn in, please.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
I do.
Please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
Ethan Cintron, first name's Ethan, last name Cintron, Cintron.
Ethan, on the 27th of July of 2023, you were a resident of Las Vegas, Nevada. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were living with your father in Henderson, Nevada. True?
I was.
And approximately 1:15 in the afternoon, you and your dad were taking the dog to a veterinarian. Is that correct?
We were actually taking our dog to a friend of mine's dad's house because we were taking him over there to drop him off because we were giving our dog away. So.
Is that because you were relocating?
Yes.
Do you recall shortly after you and your father left on this trip being stopped, pulled over by the police?
We do. Yeah. Yes.
Approximately how long were you there at that location, pulled over by the police?
About 30 minutes. 30 minutes and some change. Yeah.
During the time that you were there, were you taken out of the police car? Or taken
Yes,
out
I
of
was.
your car?
Yes, I was.
And you were standing on the side of the road with the rest, and you were videoing with your phone. Is that correct?
I was.
And what was your purpose? Why were you doing that?
Well, my father was asked to step out of the car with that. Those were the first words of the officers that pulled my father over. So when they asked him to step out of the car with no reasoning, I decided to whip my phone out because my father went and asked, why am I being removed from my vehicle? And those officers, from what I recall, did not answer his question. So I pulled out my phone. I pulled out my phone when I was asked to step out of the car as well after him.
So you wanted to make a record by videoing this?
Yes, sir.
At some point, did one of the police officers take your phone away from you?
Yes, the detective took my phone from me. I forgot his name, but yeah, he did snatch the phone out of my hand.
Did he ask you if he could have your phone?
No.
Did you give consent for him to take your phone?
I did not give him consent to take my phone.
Did you give him consent to keep your phone?
I did not give him consent to keep my phone either.
No further questions.
All right, any comments?
Yes, Your Honor. Filing this petition, you submitted a declaration, and I'll read from that, where you say, I was asked about a situation that occurred not too long ago, but before he started questioning me, he asked for my phone, which is in my hands because I was recording the traffic stop. I asked him if he had a warrant for my phone, and he said he would be getting one. I then denied him my phone, but he took it out of my hands. Is that what happened on that stop that day?
Yes.
So you're saying that he asked you for the cell phone, you did not, and then you denied him. He said, I'll be getting a warrant, and then he took the phone. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I was a little, I don't recall too much. I know that when I was asked to step out of the vehicle, the officers had explained to us why we were being pulled over, and that's what me and my dad were discussing. And then when the detectives came around the corner, they went and they spoke to my dad first, and then I was being informed that I was spoken to. The cop pulled the phone out of my hand.
Have you seen
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Have you seen the body cam footage in this
I have.
case?
Yes.
Did you see anywhere in the body cam footage where you told the officer prior to him taking the cell phone that he couldn't take it?
I did not
Did
see
you ever
that,
say
no.
Did you ever ask him if he had a warrant for that phone before he took it?
Yes, not before. It was after. So it wasn't before he took the phone. After he took my phone, he pulled me to the corner, which was around. It was about behind the cop car to interview me by himself. And before he started recording, I asked him, "Are you taking my phone?" His words were yes, and I said, "Without a search warrant." And he told me that he would be getting one. So
Okay, he told you he would be getting a search warrant.
yes, he would be getting a warrant for my phone.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
After he.
Yes, if I might briefly, there's been reference to a separate incident discussed here today, an incident where you may have been a victim, yes?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall being advised when that incident took place?
I do not recall when, but I do recall being told about it.
Well, to the best of your recollection, was there an incident that had occurred maybe some weeks before?
There
You can
was.
estimate the time?
About a month prior, about a month before, a few weeks, a month before, almost a month, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I have no further questions. I do not.
Okay, all right.
So, I can tell you, I don't need argument. I think I know what I'm going to do based on what has been presented, just so that the record is clear. In preparing for this hearing, I also reviewed in camera the sealed search warrants, the unredacted versions, which I will be marking as sealed exhibits for any purposes. So in looking at what has been brought before this court, which is on a petition under NRS 179.085 for the motion for return of property, I first need to state that under the statute, since I am not the criminal court that is doing the trial, I do not have the jurisdiction to suppress anything that is contained in the phone. In addition, I don't find that anything regarding suppression would be right, since the phone has actually not even been searched at this point. So really what I'm looking at is whether or not the petitioner has bore its burden under subsection E, that retention of the property by law enforcement is not reasonable under the totality of the circumstances, and if the property was illegally seized without a warrant. So let me first go to subsection E. So under INRI 12067, Oakland Hills, and our statute, it gives the burden on the petitioner who's asking for the return of property, and what they need to show in reaching that burden, that it is unreasonable for law enforcement to retain the property under the totality of the circumstances. In looking at the timeline, I mean, it's now middle of November. I don't know if it's even ripe time-wise to say that the petitioner has shown that burden. I don't find that keeping the phone for, let's see, 4 months is necessarily unreasonable. So even if I did find that they had met their burden in showing that it was unreasonable, the state has countered by showing that there's an ongoing investigation, and so I do find that the government is justified in keeping the property based on the fact that it is keeping the property pursuant to an active criminal investigation. So that's under subsection E. As under subsection A, where the petitioner is asserting that the property was illegally seized without a warrant. So just for the record, at the time that the cell phone was seized, there was not a warrant at that point in time. So then the presumption goes to the state to show that there is a exception that they can show. I don't know if the state has met its burden in showing that it was consensual and not just simply acquiescing to the police. However, I do find that there are exigent circumstances that existed in order for, that would allow them to seize the phone without a warrant. And in looking at that, let me just, so if I'm looking to United States v. Place, 462 U.S. 696, the state, in this case, I do find, based on what I've reviewed, had probable cause to believe that the cell phone held evidence of a crime, but they are allowed to seize the property pending issuance of a warrant to examine its contents if the exigencies of the circumstances demanded. And today we heard testimony from Officer Propp that talked about the evanescent nature of information that is contained on cell phones and how they can be easily destroyed, easily deleted, even by the person, even remotely. And so I do find that their seizure of the cell phone to prevent the destruction of evidence while seeking a warrant is something that shows the exigent circumstances that they needed to seize it. So based on that, I am going to deny the petition, and I'm going to ask the defense to prepare the order on that, and that should actually close the petition's case.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
So I am denying the petition. Based on those reasons, I'm asking the defense to prepare the order. That should close the case regarding the petition.
All right. Now, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Part of, just trying to understand your analysis. It appears from the testimony that there were many days that transpired between the alleged incident where the Cintrons were suspect and this. During these many days, there was surveillance of their home, and the opportunity to obtain a search warrant through the normal courts certainly presented itself. Did the court wish to comment on that at all?
Okay.
the fact that they didn't do that.
I do not. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need your CDs.
I will take them. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So when you prepare the order, you run it, let me look at it.
If you'll run it by him.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.